Hi, I'm Caden McGee, and I'm currently backstage with Jude and the Lion with Swept Away TV at Sunfest Music Festival in West Palm Beach, Florida. Alright, so now we're going to go around, just introduce yourselves, what you do in the band, alright?
Hey, I'm Nate Zerker. I play banjo.
Judah Akers, I play guitar.
Hey, I'm Brian McDonald, and I play mandolin.
My name's Spencer Cross, and I play the drums.
Alright, well, this is right after show, and I'd just like to congratulate you guys on an amazing set. Now, I've been going to music festivals for my whole life. I just want to know, how is it you guys aren't just, like, headlining already? I mean, seriously, come on. But no, what was it like opening up the day? It was such an incredible set with so much energy.
Yeah, it's fun to come to Florida. Like I said during the set, we haven't been this south in Florida since we started out. We started traveling a lot about 2 years ago, and we figured out really quickly that no matter like if you're opening or closing a night festival, it's just like you got to bring the energy no matter what. So it's a fun stage. Got a lot of good bands playing on the stage, and we're super stoked to be here.
So, before you started one of your songs, you mentioned you guys have been doing a lot of traveling. Now, how does this fit in? Is this just like a good time, big festival, or small festival? What is this to you guys?
Yeah, this is kind of actually the kickoff of our festival season for us. We just finished our tour off our new album, Folk Hop and Roll, and that lasted about 2 months. And so feels like kind of the start of summer in a way, because from here on out, we're doing a lot of festivals in May and the following months.
Right, well, with over 150 shows in 2015, are there any venues, any shows in particular that stand out?
There's a couple that stand out to me. One was we got to play the Tabernacle in Atlanta a couple times, and that was a special night both times. Just such a beautiful venue. And then we actually got to play a cool summer series concert in Brian's hometown of Chicago at Millennium Park, which is where the Bean is, and it's a very scenic stage, and it was a lot of fun. So those are two that stand out to me, as well as our trips to Sweden last year.
All right, so you mentioned that you're from Chicago, correct?
Yeah.
All right, well, where are all of you from, and what really brought you together as a band?
I'll just, I guess, speak for everybody, but I'm from Colorado. Judah's from Cookeville, Tennessee. Brian's from Chicago. Spencer's from Knoxville, Tennessee. And we all went to school together at Belmont University in Nashville. Guess we've been out roughly 2 years between everybody. Judah's the oldest, and Brian's the youngest. So, yeah. I guess Brian and I were music majors, and Judah studied music business and then social entrepreneurship, but just kind of all met together through Judah writing some songs and wanting to see what they sounded like with folk instruments, and got together and just kind of clicked. So, yeah.
Well, with such a big full-bodied sound and so many instruments, how does the songwriting process work for you guys?
Kind of different. What's been different every record, and it's almost different every song. It feels like a lot of the new songs off the new record, Folk Hop and Roll. Like Spencer would come up with a drum beat off this old '80s like drum machine that he had gifted from your older brother, and just had like a lot of these like cheesy kind of '80s-esque sounds, and whether like Brian or Nate would come up with a banjo riff, or I had like a melody idea or whatever it was, it just kind of seemed to kind of come together pretty quickly.
All right. Well, are there any other instruments that you guys play that you haven't featured yet in a song? Or
I don't know if there's any that we play well. I think it'd be cool to use a theremin sometime. Like one of those, you know what I'm talking about? The ones that you just move your hand in there and it makes that weird sound. It'd be kind of fun to play that live, but I don't know if there's any that we're like, I feel like we've played all the ones that we can play well. Well enough to play.
Well, with all the different genres that are blending in your music, do you all have a specific genre that you bring to the table? And if so, would you like to go around and sort of say what it is?
I would say I bring kind of the punk rock metal aspect to it. That's what I grew up on mainly.
I don't know. I kind of grew up. My mom was pretty influential as far as good music, good taste in music, like REO Speedwagon, REM, like Queen, Tom Petty, of course, and like some of those. And then my dad was more like all hip hop, like Gap Band, Run DMC, Beastie Boys. Was obsessed with those groups. So, and of course 50 Cent. Got to give my boy a shout out. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe like the folk and the hip hop for me.
Yeah, we're pretty much covered a lot of genres right there, but I would say I bring a lot of like bluegrass influence to the table. We're all kind of have our hands in different areas and different genres. And growing up, I listened to like a lot of Radiohead and bands like that. I don't know if we really have that in our sound as much, but the rock and the bluegrass fusion, I would say.
As the drummer, I just try and bring the groove as much as possible. I was kind of taught on jazz drums, and then really got into groove drummers like Steve Gadd and Steve Jordan and just some like legendary guys like that. And so when I joined the band, it was mostly bluegrass kind of folk oriented, and so I was kind of, which was great, but I was kind of constantly trying to see like, okay, how can I throw like a halftime groove on top of this? And so I don't know.
Now, when you all come together and you play music in the songwriting process, is there ever a moment where you go that there's something that you really like and you hear it, and then you realize this could become another song, and you sort of take a new sound and you try to bring it and develop it, and then it just spins into like something completely different?
Yeah. So the first time, maybe one of our most popular songs up to this point was called "Kicking the Leaves."
Yeah.
And it completely started out kind of as a joke. We were just in a living room jamming before a house show when we just started out, and I kind of started stuttering a lot, and I was just totally just kind of goofing off, and then Brian was like, "No, dude, that's sick. Try to put words to that." And so after that, I kind of developed words for the song, and then it is what it is today. So yeah, I think that happens a lot.
So when you're traveling around, because as we've mentioned before, you do a lot of traveling, so is there anything that sticks out in your mind that's not performance related that you've seen or that you've experienced that really just stands out as a cool moment or something cool that you've experienced?
One of my favorites was just getting to travel a little bit out of the U.S. is kind of fun, and we've done some tours in Scandinavia. And one of my favorite moments was flying into Norway in the summer and seeing the sun come down at around 11:30 at night, and it was still light out, and as the sun was setting, and then it went down for like a couple hours, and then it comes up at like 3 a.m. and it's just something that none of us had experienced being from, North America, but it was a cool thing to see.
Okay, so when it comes to hearing or seeing all these other experiences and like being in other places, do you ever hear something that's like somewhat of a foreign sound and go, this would be cool to use in the future?
I think for at least for me, we went on a tour with a guy named Matt Carney, and he used this vocoder like processor for one of his songs and during the tour, and we were like, man, that would be really cool for us to use live. So on the headlining run that we just did, we ended up kind of using like a moment in the set to use like a vocoder synthesizer and kind of have that moment. Yeah.
All right, now, when your first album came out, Kids These Days, it was greeted very warmly. It reached a point in the Billboard top charts for folk. How do you feel being welcomed with such a success? And how do you feel moving on?
Yeah, it's amazing that we made the charts, and I guess that happened with Sweet Tennessee and maybe on our new one too. I'm not sure, but
It was different charts.
I guess different charts. But it's kind of seems surreal, and also like in the moment, I don't know about you all, but it's kind of like feels intangible. It's kind of one of those things you read about, but it's like that can't be right, or I don't know. But growing up, hoping to do this and having this kind of success. Can't really believe that it's, I guess, happening, and it's good to be reminded of that, that the dream is really taking place right now. It's cool to be in that moment. So,
moving forward, how do you see yourselves progressing in the future? And do you think that this is ever gonna come to a point where you just feel that you can't go any further and you just feel so at the top of the world? And if so, what are the venues that you really want to play? What are all of your top 3 venues?
As far as venues go, I know I hate to steal it from Nate, but Nate always says Red Rocks, and that's definitely probably on all of our top 3.
I would also say Red Rocks, and also the Santa Barbara Bowl in California is a sick amphitheater. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal as a band is to grow and to continue to grow, and I think the one thing that we've seen with growth is just you always are kind of looking for the next step, and what, we just opened this tour. I wonder how long it is before we're able to headline this tour that we just went on. So, but I think too, we've learned that in the process that it's just about the relationships that you have, the people that you're around, and hopefully the positive influence that you can kind of translate in a live show and helping people. So that's kind of what it's about to us. Of course we want to play big stadiums and big concerts, but if that one guy that's struggling in life or whatever can be affected somehow positively by our music, that's what makes it worth it to us. So I think the one stadium you didn't cover was that bowl in Göteborg, Sweden. That'd be really fun to get to headline. That's where Dave Grohl broke his leg. So it'd be epic to, for Brian to break his leg, climbing up the rafters, to continue the show.
All right. Now, you mentioned making connections and building relationships. Have you built any relationships with any of the other artists that you've worked with, or that you've met at festivals like this one or in other places while touring?
Yeah, I would say a big part of what we get to do is make relationships with folks, and at festivals it's a little harder just because kind of in your own camper or tent or something and don't have as much time together, but yeah, but the tours we've gone on, I think one that stands out to me was when Penny and Sparrow was on tour with us, and the Joseph girls, became really close with them, and we all got really tight with Matt Carney last year when we were out with him. But just being able to have a few weeks to a month together really opens up the door to the outside of the stage environment, outside of the venue, and get to do life together. And I know we all kind of look up to those folks too. So, yeah.
I think another part of the connection that we really love is the connection with the crews at venues, because a lot of them kind of come with this background and this history towards artists that is kind of pretty negative, get kind of used and abused a lot, and so it's been a big part of our journey to kind of make them, or we want them to know that they're kind of a part of our family, at least for that night, because we're kind of all in together to make the show happen. So if the trash guy wasn't doing his job and getting his trash, I mean, it wouldn't be a clean place for everybody to come in. So it's what's more important? I don't know. So.
That was well said, yeah.
Okay, well, you mentioned that you don't get to go see a lot of the other artists at festivals, but have you taken a walk around Sunfest at all? Have you gotten to see any of the other shows, or?
We haven't got a chance to yet, just because we kind of came in, loaded in, and then played the show. But hopefully this afternoon we'll get some time to relax and kind of take in the festival a little bit, get some rays.
All right, so when it comes to setting up a set list, when it comes to performing, is there any songs in particular that you think, oh, we have to play this, or do you ever come up with a song in the moment that, oh, I got to play this right now, and then just try and squeeze it in?
I think there's definitely, we try and keep it, as fresh as possible. Throughout a tour, we'll play a similar set throughout the whole tour, but I think we're always kind of looking for ways to freshen it up, and whether it's like do a certain song differently or just kind of feel it out night to night if we think that a crowd might like one song over another. So.
All right, now you said that you really are trying to just continue building and taking steps forward and build relationships. Well, is there any advice that you would give to someone who's trying to take a step forward, like an aspiring artist, someone who's new, who hasn't taken their first step? Is there any advice you want to give them?
Yeah, I mean, you just really have to go for it, and when you fail, like, keep going. I think it's important to realize that everybody's like path is different, because we even do this a lot. Like, we'll look up to artists or songwriters and just think that, oh, one day I hope I can be as good as them. But there's really such an individuality in being an artist that you can aspire to be like somebody, but really the most important thing is for you to continue progressing as yourself or as a band. So.
Towards the end of your set today, when it started raining and you began playing Water, correct? It was just such a powerful moment, and I thought it was really awesome because it was raining at that exact moment, and despite all the weather, the heat, and like the incoming rain, your crowds started off, and they just kept growing and growing and growing as people came. Like, did you feel it? Did you feel the energy and just the crowd?
Yeah, it's always a cool moment for us to kind of see the rain a little bit, because it just kind of adds an element of energy just to the show, and especially since we were about to play Water, it was kind of fitting. But yeah, I feel like that song is kind of an anthem, and so whenever we play that, I think there's like a spirit about it that like draws at least the band in, and hopefully can connect really well with the audience as well. So it's always a good thing when the crowd kind of grows. I know we were kind of the first set too, so that was kind of nice. People strolling in there towards the end.
Now, from the second you came out to the second you left the stage, there was just so much energy. How do you guys keep it up? I mean, how do you just keep the energy going?
Lots of Red Bull.
All right.
I think lots of coffee, lots of Red Bull, but no, I think we just a lot of times we'll feed off the crowd, or every show we'll feed off the crowd. But even if there's a show where maybe the crowd's not into it as much, we still feed off each other and kind of just try and bring as much energy as possible. We know that like no matter how many people are out there, they've paid good money to come to the show, and they've taken their time to come see us. So we want to give our all to them, no matter how many people are out there.
Okay, so other than the crowds and the performance, what is your favorite aspect of every like performance, like backstage? Like, is it the food? Is it hanging out? Do you have anything in particular that always stands out wherever you go?
I think for me, it's the moment right before we go on stage. And it's part of that is because we're all kind of running around, and so like Brian said, we just got off this headline tour, and we would do our sound check and then have about 2 hours to eat dinner, and sometimes we'd all go off with friends or do that. But coming back that 5-10 minutes right before we go on stage, everyone's in it together, we're prepping together, and just feels very in it. And then it's also kind of our last moment, the process we're about to walk into before just you don't think about it anymore, you just do it. That's kind of a cool moment to cherish together.
All right, now we have just a couple last questions as we come to the end of the interview, but do you have any pre-show rituals that one of you does or all of you do together right before you go on stage?
There's a movie called Cool Runnings that's about the Jamaican bobsled team, and they do like a cheer before their race. We have like kind of a modified version of the cheer that we do from that movie, so it's pretty fun.
I always try to pee before. It's just like a ritual for me. Brian one time peed his pants during a show. So ever since that moment, I kind of thought it was important for me to empty out the bladder before heading on stage. And it's kind of like a mind clearer too, so it's tradition.